So let's do this. Our first panel, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I invite on stage our moderator for this session, Mr. Arvind, CEO Secure Parking Solution Private Limited. Let's give a huge round of applause to him. A very good morning to you, sir. Pleasure having you here with us. Please join me as I invite the speakers on stage. We have Mr. Ankit Chhabra, Retail Head, SRP India. Mr. Chandershekar Kaul, MD Beyond Squarefeet Advisory Private Limited. Mr. Vinod Sharma, Managing Director, Deki Electronics Limited and Chairman, CII National ICTE Committee. And we have Jermina Menon, Brand and Marketing Strategist, Bhartiya City Developers. Well, we didn't hear much of the round of applause, but now as we have the moderator and speakers up on stage, let's welcome them once again. Thank you so much. So over to you.
Thank you, Mapik, and thank you, panelists, for coming. We have a very distinguished members in the panel. The topic today is about conflict. Conflict between the developers and the management, and so the need, therefore, is to align them and to bring them together for synergistic purposes, and so that the mall does better. So let me set the background for conflict, and when does conflict happen, and why does it happen, and in a mall scenario. So there are several types of management structures in a mall. One of the structures is when you have large groups, when you have, say like Nexus or Phoenix or DLF, large developers, where the developer or the investor and the management are different. The investor or the developer, the main person, is not really involved in day-to-day management, right? So it is like a large publicly owned company, where the shareholders are different from the management. But then you have conflict there also. The second level of conflict, second situation of conflict comes with a smaller developer who has maybe, or a new developer who has come newly into malls. And so he's there hands-on on the site, managing everything day to day. So then there is a conflict over there also. The third level of conflict is when the management is outsourced. So the management can be in-house or it can be outsourced. So again, there are many firms who take up the entire mall management, for the developer, and so then there's a conflict over there also. The fourth level of conflict which comes is with your service providers, the vendors. They are domain experts, and their vision may differ from the vision of the developer. So therefore, you have conflict over there also. The other level of conflict happens because of difference in skill levels. You see, building a shopping center or a mall requires a lot of knowledge in different areas, right from soil testing to MEP to civil to facade, leasing, marketing. So there's a large requirement of skills, right? And there is no one person who knows everything, right? So, but there could be a situation where the developer or the manager could feel that, they are right. So therefore, you have again a conflict because of difference in skill levels, right? So our panelists over here, we have people who do work for the mall. They are the outsourced people. We have mall developers over here. So I'll request Mr. Kaul to give us his experience of conflict between the management and the developers. Sure. And how is it, and what are the implications, and how is it resolved?
Yeah, very good morning to everyone. See, if you look at it in a broad sense, probably we are on the same page. There is no conflict as such, but yes, there is a gap in the expectations. See, as a service provider, it will not hurt us if we are able to get maximum rent to the mall, because we are also going to get paid as per the rent what we get for the mall. Having said that, we have to set our expectations and the expectations of the developer based on the market realities. So at Beyond Square Feet, we advise and give services to any mall developers, right from doing market research to designing to lease management, fit out management, and mall management. Whenever we get associated with any developer, many times it so happens that they ask us to share their quotation, but we insist that first let us meet. Whenever we get on board, it is a marriage of minds. We have to align each other on the vision of the developer, on the expectations, what we should set from the mall. Only when we are aligned, then we join hands with the developer and get on with the work. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now from the other side, from the developer side, I request Ankit to give his view on the problems faced and the different conflict situations.
At the outset, as I was speaking to you earlier as well, I'll say that whenever there are a group of minds which will come into the picture, of course, there are times that you will arrive in some kind of conflicts. I may say that conflict is a very, different word. There may be a difference of opinion as well. And needless to mention that the reason you have an expert, people like Beyond on board, is where we understand that we can do a limit to a particular center, and having such kind of people around us will help us excel in the overall offering which we come across and what we deliver in an experience to the consumer. So, of course, we would like to have such kind of expert advice around us. But as I was saying earlier, we were having a discussion that when you deliver a center, there are some short-term goals and there are some long-term goals. Like long-term goal, we all align together that yes, the far-ending experience has to be great for an end consumer. But while working on that path, there will be places that the short-term goals of the developer also keeps on changing. It is not just the change of the aspiration. There's a chance that, over a period of time, you realize that the market is very different from what it is today. There is a shift in the leasing. There is a shift in the way services are being taken care of. So having such vendors around always enables us to meet our short-term goals as well. There can be issues, things happening around the funding patterns, how NBFC is taking care of, the debt and all that stuff. The conflict actually, if you ask me, starts happening because lack of communication, where the person also sees how my short-term goals are also getting addressed or not. Wherever we feel that yes, the short-term goals are also are impeding, they're becoming an impediment, you have an opinion of what will happen to my long-term goal as well. That's where the relationship starts becoming a little different. So not that we understand that yes, conflicts or difference of opinion will happen. The essence of having a particular guy is there, that he brings in that kind of skill as well, where he debates with me and guide me, mentor me to move around that particular situation and ensure that my short-term and long-term goals are being met, be it in terms of revenue, be it in terms of the way I perceive a center, be it I manage car parks or technology or leasing, any aspect which is changing. And unfortunately, the industry is so evolving that every 2-3 years you'll see something or the other happening. So if I do not change, specifically for a one-time developer, the startups, who's doing it the first small, there is certainly a lot of fear which is there. I think it's a consultant job to handhold us through our anxious time and steer us to the final destination, to the final goal.
Well, just to add to Mr. Ankit's point on the short-term and long-term goals of the project, see, we certainly want to have a blueprint for the design or the leasing, but at the same time, we have to be very flexible and adaptable to the changing needs of the market, the project, the retailers, because a mall will take minimum 3 to 5 years to fructify depending on the size of the mall. Yeah, thank you.
So actually, conflict is maybe a strong word to use, right? Maybe a better word to use would be difference of opinion. And conflict is not necessarily a bad thing. Difference of opinion, little bit of conflict is essentially good, because then you get different points of view, you can debate it and reach an optimal solution. The problem happens more often when there are differences in the point of view, egos might set in, and the mind is no longer open, right? So I'd request Vinod now to talk about how you use technology in resolving conflicts and differences of opinion.
Thanks very much, Mr. Maya. Thank you very much to the organizers for having me. I'm new to this forum and the ecosystem of retail, so I'll allow me a minute of introducing why I'm here. My name is Vinod Sharma. I manage a company called Deki Electronics. Deki is now 40 years in the business. We are primarily an electronics technology company, 3 parts to it. The main business is manufacturing components, where I love to say that these are capacitors where we benchmark with Japan on quality, with Germany on reliability, with China on price, and with India on payment behavior, all at the same time. So that's what our team of 700 people in Noida does. We also have a division in Bangalore, another 300 people that does chargers for electric vehicles, and that's a new area for all of us. We are learning very quickly what the market wants and developing technology solutions for that. But what I'm here for today is the smallest division of Deki Electronics, but also the most exciting for me. It's called Sure Solutions. 12 years ago, we set on a journey to say, what can electronics deliver to the retail space? And it's phenomenal. Your industry is so dynamic. As you rightly said, it keeps us thinking all the time and innovating. You mentioned a very strong word this morning, sir, when you started by saying conflict. I follow a management guru called Eliyahu Goldratt. Unfortunately, we lost him a few years ago. He is the founder of Theory of Constraints. Goal, if you have not read that book, please do. Now, this guy in his last book, before he died, his daughter is a psychiatrist. They're both, of course, they're Israelis. And Ellie, as he is called, Ellie was asked by his daughter, saying, all your life, you learned a lot of lessons in management. And what is the most difficult lesson, and what would you like to leave behind as your legacy? And this gentleman said, that conflicts, and coming out of Israel, you can imagine that this is a land of conflicts, and we see what's happening today. He says conflicts can never be resolved, because conflicts can only lead to compromise. So if 2 guys are fighting, I can be a conflict resolution professional, make them sit down and shake hands over some agreement with, quite frankly, both of them don't actually agree with. So both have compromised to some extent and reach a compromising agreement, right? And what he said very interestingly was that the problem with the compromise is that both walk away with undesirable effects of the compromise. Saying, hey, I should have got this much, but I didn't, and because, we had to settle, so I settled. You go back with a bad feeling. So what is the solution? I won't go into details, but he's a fascinating person, and you must read about him and what he says. However, then he said, conflicts, however, if they are reduced to the lowest level of contradictions. I could have a genuine contradiction with you. You promised me certain footfalls, I'm not getting those footfalls. Now that's a contradiction, right? What it leads me to think of mistrusting you, thinking that you misled me, and bigger words like that, I have no solution for. But if it comes down to contradictions, we can solve them. Now the beauty is that what I talked about earlier, the electronics, the technology part of it, my colleague from Panasonic is also here, my colleagues from Sure Solution are here. I think technology can solve a lot of these contradictions. We have within Sure Solutions, for example, a very simple device called Sure Count. Last 12 years, we count the exact number of people that are in any space. When did they enter? How much time did they spend? Technology is now led me to got it to a place. I can tell you how many men, women, children are there in that space. How much time did they spend at the cashier or at the trial room? Now this intelligence was available today to retail. And I might sort of extend my thing by saying, can we do this for malls? Can I create a digital mall? When I walk into a mall space, even sitting at home, can I see the mall as it appears? Of course we can do that. Technology can do that, right? Can I make a booking in a restaurant before I enter that mall or in a food court? Can I touch and feel, which I can't really do touch and feel, but I can look at the garments I can decide what area I want to go to. And most importantly, at the end, it might be possible that you have a mall where the entire exit, the cashiering happens only at the end of the mall. I don't have to do it in each retail space. Your whole asset tracking, we can do an inventory of every single asset in the whole mall in the night when nobody is in the mall and give you a full asset tracking. So technology has a lot of answers. The issue is what are the contradictions we want to solve? Which ones at what point of time are we willing to pay for? And I thought I would use this opportunity just to say, hey, there are answers available in technology. Let's think together.
Thank you. It's interesting that you should say that conflicts are never resolved and both the parties go away feeling that they both have lost, you know. And there's another management theory which says that the conflict has been successfully resolved if neither of them think they have won. You know, so because obviously you have to give something away in any negotiation. If you have a price negotiation, you know, and the developer is asking you to reduce the price and you can't, and so you reduce it a little bit. So developer feels he should have got more, and the vendor feels that, you know, they should have got more. So both have gone away not feeling totally happy, but then that is a good resolution. That is another theory. So I request Jermina to...
That is what we try to do. We try to make both developers and retailers feel that both have won.
Or lost. Or lost. Yeah, so if you, you know, you have inputs from the developer's side.
So I sit over here as the brand and marketing strategist for a developer, Bhartiya Urban, Bhartiya Mall of Bengaluru. And I always like to see myself as the customer in the room. You know, that's my job when we sit in meetings. So while my core job is marketing, it's also discussing with the leasing team, what does the, you know, who is my customer and hence which is the right brand we need to get. That can also be a conflict area, but if it's backed by data, it doesn't become a conflict, it becomes a discussion. It's with, you know, business partners like you, Arvind, where we are talking of parking. So how smooth can I make to, you know, make it entry and exit? And we were discussing before that all of us, when we enter, we are still in good spirits, but when we exit, we literally want to do it in a nanosecond. And perhaps I would focus more on that with you as a customer experience, though I'm not the operations person, because customer experience matter. I handle those Google reviews. I handle those complaints when they come on my website. So I think it's always about how do you really keep the customer at the center and how I, you know, work with you as a business partner and make you also see that. So even tomorrow if Vinod offers me a solution, how do I use it to make my customer's experience better? And if the customer is happy, there's no reason why you and I should not be happy, you know? And that's not a bad kind of, you know, discussion to have. It is going to be something with positive results. Of course, I'm an optimist, and I don't know whether it's to do with my gender that I feel that way. But yeah, if we are clear and the goal is common, if I am able to onboard business partners like you to my common goal, then it's not a conflict. It's about how do we do it best. That's how I see it.
Yes, thank you. I think it's important that we focus on the customer, what the customer wants, and eventually the customer is right. So if you're doing what the customer wants and you're doing it right, whoever's idea it is, whether it is the developer or the management, I think that is the way forward. In the absence of a conflict, resolution can have devastating effects on a mall or on a shopping center. As car park operators, we have been involved in about 150 malls across the country over the last 15 years. And we have seen large groups, small malls, all, you know, get into a loss-making situation because they have not been able to, you know, resolve this conflict between the management and the developer. And and many times it has resulted in people like the management leaves. There's a high turnaround in management. Because of the conflict, and because if there's a high turnaround in management, policies, long-term strategies can never be implemented, and you lose. And so it's always better that, and I've seen large groups, you know, exit the business, for example, not because of conflict, but because they didn't have the skill set required. People like Tata's or RMZ have exited the mall market because of and they couldn't manage it. So, Kaul, the experience of so many malls, Can you give some examples where, it has not been resolved and, or Ankit, you also?
I'll just tell you where we see the difference in expectation and how do we try to set it right. When it comes to the leasing, first we have to start with the positioning. So sometimes we have seen that the developer feels that he's making the mall for himself. So we have to tell him that the mall is not for him. It is for the catchment where the mall is. So the positioning of the mall has to be set as per the needs of the catchment, and accordingly we have to get the brands to the mall. Second difference of opinion could be on the rental expectation. So there again we tell them while minimum guarantee is important, but what is more important is the revenue share. So the expectations on the minimum guarantee has to be set as per the market standards. See, you may be able to charge a premium, but there has to be a reason what you are giving to the retailer or to the customer that you charge a premium. Otherwise, the rental expectation has to be as per the market standards. If the mall does well, you always have the upside from the revenue share. Third, we see conflict when the developers want the retailers to come and start fit out. While they are still under construction and there is a long way to go, they want the anchors to come and start fit out, which does not happen because most of the retailers have burnt their hands previously. Without the approvals in place, no anchor wants to start fit out. Similarly, they want the vanillas to come and start fit out. No vanilla will want to come and start fit out till the time he sees that certain anchors have started the fit out. So these are some areas where we see there is a mismatch of expectation, and with logic and rationale, we try to bring both the developer and ourselves on the same page. Thank you.
Ankit, I say you are smiling. So.
You started with that discussion on the conflict, and I was bringing that. So you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. What happened that our decisions are led by our experiences, right? A lot of time in sometimes we also feel that in retail forums there is no developer forum. So there are times that you get into a situation where everything is done and the person come back and say that I can't even take over the site of it else. Right now, understand you make a journey around it. You envisage your numbers, experience and everything, and I'm sure there is no dearth of examples out here without naming anyone that we landed up in situations that before the time of fit out, you understand, okay, there is a change in the management philosophy and things are not happening. So me, unless the time I see the person on that particular site, even after signing LOIs and LNLs, there is certainly a nervousness which comes into the picture. And I'm not speaking about here just for the vanilla stores. For the larger stores we have seen, where people come up and say that, oh, things have changed, now my area is getting changed. And I'll tell you live examples, which people have come that, I'll say 2 floors, then they came back and said, no, we are going ahead with 1 floor. We shut the floor, we put the gutters, remove the escalators. 3 months down the line, he said, no, now there's a change in philosophy, we again want to have that floor. Now, imagine for a developer who's just spending time, in making that particular environment, has to get into those particular issues. So yes, the nervousness is there. Who will come and who will not come, and that's the reason maybe you feel that developers do push you that have the guys on site. That has also come from certain kind of experiences. I'll be very frank. Yesterday in this forum, I was speaking to a particular gentleman without naming him. He said that before the fit outs, please start flagging it to me 1 year before. Now the retailer, when he tells me that please start flagging it to me 1 year before, when I know my notice period is 3 months, don't you think I'm going to live that with that particular fear for another 6 months? I will. Because I realized that the retailer himself is thinking 1 year before. So, and these are national players. Also understand the amount of, I don't have to again accentuate on the fact, the cost of the money these days. When you put in such kind of particular kind of money and the interest cost which balloons into some number, of course, at times when we're doing a first small, it comes back to you that, what if? Those are very natural tendencies, when you put in such kind of money. Hence, there is certainly a push. Leasing, of course, I was speaking to him and I was telling him, typical guys who are doing it mall for the first time, their association with the real estate is that you deliver something, you sell it and you move on, right? So looking forward for a lesser break-even period is not a sin. I would like to have a break-in sooner. So if I do not push the people, whether it is my own team member or an outsourced services to, look forward for a larger share is not wrong, right? So there are those things which will keep on happening between us.
People present here can see live demonstration where the difference of expectation is.
That's what I'm saying. People are there. We will have it all. It's just that, of course, it needs to be handled in a very matured way. Understand what the dynamics are working, and we both steer ahead, right? But having said that, it will never happen. I think the fun out of it also go out at the same time.
Maybe we've concluded earlier because we are now saying difference of opinion and not conflict anymore.
Right, absolutely.
We've been, as Secure Parking, we've been associated with Bhartiya Mall since the inception. And I must say that in the last, very short period, the revenues from the car park have gone up manifold. And footfall, tire fall has all gone up manifold. So obviously, you are doing something right regarding
I wish
conflict.
my boss was hearing this. Is it recorded?
Yeah, so obviously you're doing something right. So what are the sort of conflicts you've faced or differences of opinion you've faced, and how, what are the good outcomes you've had, obviously you've had?
I think in a mall, like I'll again go back as a marketer to the customer. So when we planned the mall, we opened the mall and it was just opened post-COVID, we had a particular retail mix, we had a particular client. And we know what was the one big shift COVID did in all of our lives. We digitize like hell. And all our habits are now hybrid. And especially shopping centers, which is what I represent, shopping has become hybrid. The reality is there is online, there is offline, there is quick commerce, there is e-commerce. So how do we really move with the customer? And which is where we constantly listen to our customers. We actually see our customers, not with Deki kind of things, but really seeing. And we are part of a city which also has a tech park, which has a residence. Average age of our shopper is between 28 to 32 years. So we are now making changes which appeal to that shopper. So if that shopper no longer wants the menswear brand which was popular 10 or 12 years back and we have it, we try to also bring in the shopping, e-commerce brands, D2C brands coming in. So we are focusing a lot on getting a lot more D2C brands in, because not only are they going offline, but customers are increasingly wanting it. So, we have a Snitch coming up. We have a lot of other popular brands coming up. In terms of communication, the focus is on giving events which excite this audiences. So we are talking to youngsters, young couples, and couples with small children. So how do I cater in my marketing calendar over, 52 weekends, a good mix which appeals to them, ensure my online content appeals to them. So that is what we focus on. Of course, women always will be the larger part of the shopping population. We too aspire to have 60 to 65% women shoppers, because even weekday they lead in terms of footfalls. So keeping women at the center, keeping women-centric activities, whether it's a weekday engagement, whether it's a weekend engagement. We spoke about, even having special lots or easy for them to enter and exit because they want to make a quick visit before the child comes back from school. So it's not because they are a woman, but because their lifestyle is very different. So understanding that and incorporating all these elements leads to customer delight. And when we have customers coming very often to us and say, we like coming every weekend, we really feel very happy to say that. And we engage with customers very, very differently. Some of the customers, we actually have a lot of personal touch and focus, and this is without a loyalty program. This is just seeing them, having them participate, seeing their entries in our, registration forms. I think that's what's really helped us, and I think we still have not met my boss's target, so we'll have to work a little harder, Arvind.
We always have to work harder. And targets keep changing, that is never
That's
stagnant.
what bosses are there for.
So Vinod, you also wear another hat of the CII, right? And you have a leadership role over there. So how do you see, have you had experiences in large organizations, small organizations with conflict between the promoters and the management, and if you could throw some light on that?
Yeah, so before that, I was just observing that our discussion in 20 minutes has moved from conflict management to design theory, right? When you say we are looking at customers 28 to 32, women, how are we designing our malls around that? So I think it's a really, I'm enjoying the flow of this discussion. And I'm tempted to say that, okay, again, allow technology to help you with that design thinking. It's possible today, like I said, not only to count the number of people that are in a store, in a shop, but also the people who didn't get to the shop, who were outside in the corridor for some reason decided to walk away, right? We can put cameras, we can count that. So and why are those people not coming in? I think we need to apply our minds to say, what can be done? How did a certain promotion help more footfalls, reduce them? To such an extent, as you mentioned, today AI allows us to look at people's faces and categorize them as happy, sad, unhappy, angry, now you can assume that it was probably because of the mall and not because the wife spent too much, but that's, so technology can allow you to do all that. And I really would love to sort of engage with all of you in how can we develop malls like this? Because now you said CII and my road is, so one of the grievances we've had is that, especially in the electronics area for several policy reasons, I won't go into that, is that we became from manufacturers. 30, 40 years ago, we made a full television. All components of that television, including the picture tube, was made in India. And certain policy decisions got us to a space where we became pure traders. So when we came to the mobile phone era, you will notice that we had the milks. We call them Microtech, Micromax, Intex, Lava, and Carbon. So those are the four Indian brands. And they were nothing but traders, unfortunately. I mean, I sit on one of their boards. So from manufacturing, we went down to trading. And now we are hoping to come back. And that's what I discussed today, as a design-led manufacturing hub. So our malls should actually technically be superior to anywhere else in the world, because technology is not just inventing something or manufacturing it, it's also deploying it. So I have a much larger team that deploys that technology in the malls and the stores. Rather than the development team can be small, we can do it once, we can very quickly learn from the world. So there is that whole bit. On your question specifically there is conflict all over, right? Family businesses particularly. I'm very fond of saying that, while business is a capitalist movement, families are a socialist movement, right? Yeah. And so somebody in the family is certainly not talented enough or dedicated enough, committed enough to get an equal share of the spoils. How do you manage that? Now that's a massive conflict by itself. There are many ways, and I won't go into the details. I don't think technology can help there. But in the case of our conflict that we are discussing, yes, I think bringing it down to contradictions, measuring those contradictions, we certainly have a good way forward.
Yeah, thank you. And to call some more, where you successfully resolved such conflicts,
Well, see, we are an extended arm to the developer, being a mall advisory and a mall management company. So, again, I would say there is no conflict. We are there to achieve his vision, achieve his dream. The only thing what we try to do is set the expectations right. We want the expectations to be realistic, because we don't believe in over-promising and under-delivering. So it is better we set the expectations what we are able to achieve. I mean, it is maybe we will under-promise and over-deliver, but we will not want to do it other way around. Thanks.
Ankit, you want to say anything more?
I certainly believe that, but yes, conflicts are there. It's going to be there. Different people working in different directions. It is bound to happen. Yes. As much as you can bring it down, made through, by the way of technology or with interpersonal skills, good for us. But yes, if you see that you're going to move away out of it, I think it's yeah. So that's too much of a ask. And I'm pretty sure we're working together, we can find out ways to stitch things, in time.
Yeah, so it's pretty evident that conflicts are going to be there. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. You need to keep customer focus, because the customer will give you the answer, which is the correct answer, whether it is designing the mall or the lifts or the car park or the facade, anything. So it is basically the customer who will give you the answers. And important that all parties be aligned. They realize how much they can contribute, what other people are contributing, and so that it all comes together. And as I said, there have been enough examples we can give where the malls have collapsed because of conflict or lack of skills, or they were not able to resolve this. So if Jermina, you'd like to say anything else before we conclude?
Yeah, I think it was good to hear that we all agreed on customer centricity as much as we agreed on difference of opinion. And to me, as long as I would say the discussion is on why each of the teams, be it leasing, operations, management, marketing, think that why the customer will benefit the most, then we are not going to have conflicts, but we are going to have some very engaging discussions, innovative solutions, and of course, growth is the byproduct of it. That's no doubt about it. So that's what I feel.
Yes, and Bhartiya Mall has done very well in the last couple of years.
Thank you. I hope this is recorded too.
No, thank you very much. Anyone else, or we can open it for questions? Any questions?
So I guess there are no much question. This was a great discussion and
So
they
I
got
think
the
everybody
answer.
agrees with us as to...
No conflict here either.
Yes.
Can we have a huge round of applause for our panelists, please, ladies and gentlemen? That was a really thought-provoking discussion. Thank you so much for gracing this occasion and joining us here at the panel. Before you leave, we would like to felicitate. Well, sir, I would request you, only Arvind sir, to please do the honor, and let's felicitate our speakers. Starting with Mr. Arvind. So I want you to felicitate, so if you would like to hand over it. Well, we would also like to take a moment and we would like to thank our moderator. I would request Mr. Chhabra to please do the honor. So, thank you, sir, for taking care of this session. We'll take a group picture. Please come. So ladies and gentlemen, with this we conclude this session. Thank you for joining us, but please be seated as we have our next panel.